In this video, we're going to look at how to solve a quadratic equation using factoring. So first of all, if you don't know how to factor, you're going to want to go back to the 8.2 videos and get that figured out first. And do some practice problems. Then come back to this one and we'll look at solving a quadratic equation using those skills. Okay, so first thing we need to talk about is the zero product property. So to explain that, let's say we have two quantities, A and B. If we multiply those two together and the product comes out to 0, the question you want to ask yourself is, what can we say about A and or B? Do we know anything about them? Think about that for a second. Okay, so if A times B is 0, then wouldn't A or B have to be 0? One of them has to be 0 if you're going to multiply them together and get 0. Or the other option, they both could be 0. But yeah, at least one of them has to be 0. So let's look at that in the context of what we've been talking about. If you've got two binomials, x minus 1 and x plus 6, and we're multiplying them together, and the product is 0, then one of those has to be 0. So you've got two choices. Well, what can we say about x minus 1 and x plus 6? One of them has to be 0. So either the first one's 0 or the second one is 0. And if x minus 1 is 0, then x equals 1. I'm just solving it for x, right? If x plus 6 equals 0, then x equals negative 6. Again, just solving for x. And there's my two answers. Okay, so let's look at a question from start to finish. Okay, so 3x squared minus 6x equals 24. All right, so what do we want to do first? Well, first thing we could do, let's look at the graph. We go to Desmos, we plug in y equals 3x squared minus 6x, and y equals 24. We did the left half and the right half and plotted them. Where do they intersect? Negative 2 and 4. So those are the answers. X equals negative 2 and x equals 4. Let's see how we would do that if we didn't have Desmos, though. All right. First thing you want to do, put it in standard form. So standard form means everything on the same side of the equation, like this. So we just subtracted 24 from both sides, moved it to the other side, and made it the opposite sign. Okay. Now, we're going to factor out a greatest common factor if we have one. In this case, is there any number that we could divide all three of them by and have them divide evenly? Looks like 3 will go, so divide everything by 3. Okay, there we go. And we still got that. Last step, we're going to factor the trinomial. So x squared minus 2x minus 8 can be factored into x minus 4 times x plus 2. Okay, now we have three terms here, 3, x minus 4, and x plus 2. We know one of those has to be 0. So can 3 be equal to 0? No, I would say 3 cannot be equal to 0. It's 3. So can x minus 4 be equal to 0? Yeah, it could be if x equals 4. Then could x plus 2 be equal to 0? Sure, if x equals negative 2. Plug it in if you don't believe me. See that 4, if x equals 4, then 4 minus 4 is 0. If x equals negative 2, then negative 2 plus 2 equals 0. All right. Now here's a couple for you to try. There's an easy one. X squared plus 7x plus 12 equals 0. All you got to do there is just factor it and then give me the two answers. And then this other one, 2x squared minus 6x equals 80. For that one, you're going to want to follow the steps that we just walked through in the video.